as a trio, as a full squad, there's definitely a win potential there for me to see coming out from Orangutan. So Niptura, do we think we're going to see an OG win?
I hope so, and I think they will absolutely get the win if...
not hope so. It's a yes or no.
Sorry.
What's happening?
It's yes.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because, and I'll tell you why. Because the main difference between how they normally play and what they're doing now is they're spreading out on the edge. That's typical for OG, right? They're using their terrain, they're spreading out a little bit, they're trying to get control, but they're not backing it up. They're taking the position, and then the moment somebody comes towards them, they're kind of like, we'll try and defend, but they're not going forward and going, actually, this is our spot. You know, where is the confidence that we saw in the interview of, well, if APG want to drop our location, then they're free to do that. We want to see that same energy coming into the end game when they go, this is our position, we're going to set it up like this, and also we're going to back it up with some shots. It doesn't have to be elims, but I want to see more presence from him in the end game because the setup is good, but they're just falling down on converting anything into a, oi, stay away.
Yeah, I do feel bad for OG, though, because that play of Rangam Kario was just beautifully executed. So it's really hard to fight back in that kind of situation. But actually, just to go on another team I want to see some improvements from, I'm going to go on DRX, and I'm going to blame Marzi in particular, okay? If you're listening to this, I know he's doing a watch party. Why did you pick DRX, okay? He is the true boss master in India. And DRX, genuinely, one of my favorite teams. For me, there was no doubt in my mind DRX were going to have a banging performance in the Gauntlet and instantly make it to the finals. But no, they started off the day in 11th position, and I believe now they're in 15th after this first rondo.
Yeah.
DRX, we're almost at the halfway point, Hot Jukes. We need to see more from DRX. They've done nothing so far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is, this is my concern, right? Is that with so many big names on the second half of the leaderboards, if any of these teams like DRX do what we just saw Regnum Karia did, right? 18 points, they're in the running for top 7, right? So I think for a team like DRX, though, hey, get it done now. You know what I'm saying? You do not want to wait till the last is for sure. So for DRX, so many of these squads, I think the pressure's on big time here, Niptera, to perform right here, right now.
100%, because we're getting closer now. It's game 2 after game 3 way done, and that's where it's really going to start. You're going to start getting that pressure coming in. You're going to start going, we only have a set amount of games left. All of that stuff's going to start happening to you. So it really is now or never, Jukes.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You know, I'm kind of going to go on the other side of that point you were talking about earlier. You know, when it comes to OG, right? I think that their performance is very impressive for a squad that it's their first PMGC. You know, I think they've done a lot to be in the position they're in. You know, I think that getting a chicken dinner right now, from what I've seen so far, is going to really depend on them getting a circle position, right? If they're in a dominant hill spot, they get the zone locked, I think they're winning that game all day long, right? I think we're yet to see them be able to pull out a chicken dinner from what you're talking about, like from that edge style play, like we saw Thunder Talk do, right? Play edge, take out every single squad, right? Hopefully we can see them build up to that, but I think the best case scenario for OG here is if they do get that circle, they got to capitalize it like there's no tomorrow. And then hopefully just be, once they get that chicken dinner, right, be like, we can do it, right? We've done this before. Yeah. And that's something that's really hard to cross, Max, right? Because pretty much everybody in this lobby has won a chicken dinner at PMGC before, right? At least once.
They're all very experienced, for sure. But Orangutan dropping in shelter, actually, you got some pretty decent rotational paths. And by the way, we're looking at them right now. These jackets from OG, like, come,
I want one.
Can we get one of those, please? I want one of the jackets. But no, really, Orangutan, the way they're playing, it's I'm having a Ratatouille moment when it's taking me back to, you know, the World League years and years ago. You know, when Orange Rock were there, TSM Entity were there, you know, popping off on the global stage. We're getting back. We're getting a taste of that once again at PMGC. So we'll see if they can perform once again. Though, I'm going to take this opportunity here, guys. The conversation onto a big talking point here. GS Team APG. It kept happening. No?
Yeah.
Going into Novo military, into Novka military base, Jafar in particular had a massive clutch at the end to wrap up versus APG. Are we going to see that continue if we have a Southern Plane, or are we going to see APG maybe change things up if they are going to be clashing versus GS? What are we thinking?
Man, I hope so. I actually, no, I hope we don't, right? And the reason why is because, you know, we saw GS hot drop right off the rip, game number 1 of Aaron Gale, right, Niptura? And then in 2 games they didn't hot drop, and I think that was mostly to the fact that that playing path was heading more towards Severny for them, their secondary drop location. Do you think, Neptura, that because, I mean, it for them, right? I think GS did a lot better when they didn't have to do that hot drop, right? So I think maybe their coach or Neptura, you're the coach of GS, okay?
Ooh, okay.
Right now. Put it on the coach chat, right? If you were their coach, what would you tell them going into Erangel here for
I wouldn't hot drop. I'd be like, look at the results we got as staying full squad through most of the match, getting much farther into the match as a full squad versus when we hot drop, and yeah, we get some early limbs, but now we've got a really long rotation to make. So through the blue, all of this sort of stuff, everybody's already set up. That would not be my play. I'd be just like, no, you guys, we gotta switch things up, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Max, you're the coach of APG. What would you do?
Hot shot, because I think, on a very serious note, it would be extremely funny. That's my analysis, because for the memes, go for the hot drop. But no, generally, I would like to see it not happen on a serious note, because it just doesn't help the team. So hopefully they can fix it, Hot Jukes. It's in particular APG, because they can't afford another bad day here. They need to step up. They need to make military base their own.
Let's make it happen as we take it on over to John Allen and Blank for match number 2. Well, you know what? We are gonna have a little bit of a pause here. Well, guys, it looks like we're going to wait a little bit longer here to get into the next game. So, you know what? That gives us a little bit more time, Max and Neptune, right, to get into this. I know John Allen and Blank are super excited to get this, and we will get to that next game, right? But I want to talk a little bit more about possibly some of the other hot drops we're going to deal with, Max, right? So what do you think is going to happen here in Erangel?
I mean, really, except for the APG GS team, I think hot drops were pretty clean. Nothing really happened. So I think we're chilling on that front. I think we're okay. I'm actually going to be paying attention to Virtus Pro and A7. We know they have some drops in common. They have Northern George Pole, they have Lipovka, and also VP tend to drop into Milto, which could be a clash between themselves and DRX, depending on how the drops go and how the playing goes in particular. So I'm looking at them. But Alpha 7, Nipture, I'm looking back at yesterday's Erangel games. Their rotations were so pristine, were so quick. They would get in a circle before anyone else and in really good POIs typically. So are we going to see that same Alpha 7 in these Erangel games? Because if yes, I think they're really going to solidify a high rank in the top 7.
I mean, I would love to see that for them. It's something that they're desperately needing, and I think they're going about it the right way. You're right. The timing has been pretty impeccable. They've been doing everything they need to do. They've been taking advantage of the teams they need to take advantage of. They're reading the lobby really, really well so far. That doesn't always translate into points, but what I always love seeing is a team that you can see what they're trying to do. You can see what they've got strategy. They're not just doing it randomly, and they've got ideas. And so for a team like Alpha 7, who are obviously a very good team, but have just been struggling lately, it's nice to see that we're actually seeing a team that is like, no, we're on the ball with these rotations. We're on the ball with this timing. Yeah. It's very hopeful.
What I'm really hopeful about is not just the rotational potential of this team, right? I mean, especially for you, Hodrix, covering Americas, but it's so cool seeing the rise of Guizhou and Obscure on this storied roster, on this storied org of Alpha 7. And last game on Rondo in particular, oh my goodness, they put up such a great showing versus RA. And even I think there was a potential third party happening from APG and Virtus Pro in the wings, and they were fully ready for that. So this is Alpha 7 2.0, and I'm here for it. This storyline we're seeing built up in front of our very eyes here in the Gauntlet stage is beautiful. And this is Brazil stepping up with a new generation of top-tier players that are here to claim a trophy on the global stage.
I mean, you heard Rebel say it himself in the interview with Seven, right? He was just like, you know what? I think they already surpassed me. And it's crazy to see just how well these other players are doing, right? Just kind of looking at some of the player stats, right? Obscure, yesterday, he got 10 eliminations, 12 knocks. The player below him, Guizao, with 5 eliminations and 4 knocks, right? Carrillo had 4. Revel had 3 eliminations, right? So Obscure more than doubled that of his of the second teammate, and that's Guizao, right, Max? So, wow. I mean, Alpha 7, we know what these guys are capable of. We saw it in Erangel, right? They love that rotating to the hard shift side, kind of what we just saw Regnum Karya do in this last match, right? They did that, ended up doing that twice, got a good game under their belts. So when it comes to Alpha 7, I just think it's about just waking up on that consistency. I want to see that a little bit more aggressive Alpha 7 here, Neptura, because I see them just kind of playing a little bit more calculated rather than that hyper aggressive Alpha 7 they're kind of known for.
Exactly. And you know what? I want to extend that point to the rest of the lobby, actually, because if we look at each team individually, a lot of them, there's very few teams in this lobby that actually play compactly, that actually play very much together, you know, kind of off to their own. Many of these teams spread out and take control from the other teams. And I want to say that so far in the Gauntlet stage, we've not really seen that. None of them have been playing how I expected them to play. We're not seeing the A7 spread out into the end game, you know, 4 or 3 players and just, you know, eating up as much of that zone as possible and controlling it, taking it away from other teams. Kara are not doing it. OG are not doing it. Regnum, we only saw them kind of do it in this game. So I want to say some of that is due to everybody's kind of tiptoeing around each other just a little bit. They're still trying to get a feel for how the lobby is going to be played. But the other half is these zones. I don't feel like any of these zones have been particularly favorable to most of these teams, because even if a zone does go towards a certain team, normally it's one compound in the middle of a field and it's kind of very play. So I want to see maybe either, you know, kind of take these bad zones and run with it as much as possible, or just relax a little, just play how you normally play, because that is historically how you get a win.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Take me back to Raheem. We had a Pachinki circle finish. You know what?
Dude,
give me some of that spiciness. You know, that would be really fun if that happened. You're going to need Xavier to perform potentially. But yeah, circles have been a little bit very open-ended, I would say. They're not ending on any big POI. We didn't see that really happening yesterday, especially the one next to ended in nothingness. And you could see the ring. I think you had Alpha 7 just like, there's literally no terrain to work with. How do we work with this kind of terrain at the end of the game? I'm hoping we do get some like more city or compound centric finishes. I think that's going to show a lot of rotational potential from teams. Who's going to get there first? Who's going to play defensively? Who's going to be trying to initiate those crashes? I want to see a bit more variety on our angle, because on day one, Hodrix, I would have to say, was a bit one note to me. So I want to see more variety from some of these teams, depending on, of course, how the circle tends to go.
Yeah, I think we're going to definitely see that here in day 2. I think we did already in Rondo, right? We saw some of the squads that did underperformed yesterday go nuts. So I'm expecting just absolute craziness here in Erangel, because every team knows kind of how the end of these tournaments go, right? There's going to be quite a few squads that are going to be so far down the leaderboards that they don't have any chance of making it to the top 7 here, Max, right? So when that happens, typically, the last few matches are not typical of what the whole tournament was like, right? The teams that know that they're not going to make it are playing super loose. Maybe they go crazy, start pushing everybody, or they're just like, hey, you know what? I'll see you guys in the group stage. We'll make something happen from there, right? So yeah. I think considering that, Max, teams more than ever just realize how important it is to put points up here and now rather than waiting to the end of the game, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's going to be changed up quite significantly into this. But I want to go a little bit deeper on what you said about the later stages of the Gauntlet change significantly, Hodrix, because I think it brings up a very interesting scenario where, because you need to be in top 7, right? It's very forgiving if you're in, let's say, top 3 in last 2-3 games of tomorrow. Like if you're looking at Thunder Talk, Mad Balls, R8, maybe Orangutan. Are we going to see a situation, because you would be so comfortable, that you can kind of ruin the opportunity for teams down below? Yes, I am talking about potential hot drops, just as a theory. Here, just to have a conversation. Orangutan, if they're very comfortable in top 7 heading into tomorrow's last few games, and Alpha Gaming are still struggling, do you get rid of them to clear up that position for the grand finals? Technically, that wouldn't be a bad shout.
I don't think so. I don't think so, right? I mean, that's the thing.
She's so silent. She fully agrees with my point. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a hard one for me because I don't normally love that tactic. For a couple of different reasons, I don't feel like it really does all that much, because if a team is, yes, if it's like, you know, a few points away, whatever, but I don't always love it. But then we're always talking about teams that are further below trying to ruin, you know, some potential chances for teams a few places ahead of them, where here, I think in this instance, you're talking the other way around, right? It could work. It could, you know, just try and solidify their dominance in certain situations, right? It's like, you know, we're going to hot drop you in Chumacera again because you're not doing well, and we want to make sure that going into the finals, you're not going to drop here again. That could be something that might be worth the effort, because otherwise, I just don't really see the point.
Yeah, I'm mainly talking for the fact of clearing up a drop location for the finals.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a long-term incentive to do it. For example, you can also, I brought up OG and APG because it's the funny meme one to bring up right now, right? But otherwise, GS team, I think a lot of teams want to try and get rid of them, such as maybe APG if they're able to climb up the rankings a bit. Alpha 7, Wolves want to try and get rid of them. Maybe even GK because of their Rondo drop location. Again, that's dependent on what the leaderboards look like entering into tomorrow's 6 matches. So yeah, definitely, you got to keep in mind that if you're not comfortable going into day 3, you could be in a little bit of trouble, because if you are sharing a drop location, chances are that team does not want to share it going into the finals, where again, you're fighting for the lion's share of $3 million prize pool. So I would backstab some people for that. Hell yeah. Maybe not you guys.
That's a lot of money.
You guys, you're safe.
Yeah, you know, a lot of money on the line here. And you know what's typical? You know, I honestly, this is one of my biggest pet peeves about competitive PUBG Mobile, right? Is we don't normally see squads like do these crazy drops towards the end, right? Which is what I would do, because I'm like, hey, why not, right? We got such a huge lead. We could do whatever the heck we want. But for some reason, they continue to play the kind of like the same game they've been playing, right? But one thing that I think really makes a big difference, Neptura, is if you want to take out a squad, you could just say, let's go ahead, and if we get into a fight with them early on, hey, we could just make sure they go out. We could take them out no matter what here towards the end. So I think those mid-game fights, things can get a lot spicier, Neptura.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? You want to take a team out on rotation? Absolutely. That's minimal risk to yourself and all the damage onto them. I would love something like that for that to happen.
Well, let's see what's going to happen here in match number 2. First air gale of the day. Let's take it on over to John and Blake for match number 2.
And you know what that plane means. We are heading into match 8 of our 18-match set here. And day 2 will continue to unfold. We put the recall beacons to rest. Don't worry, if you're not a fan, you're not going to be seeing them here on Erangel. We are going to be back to basics here. So APG, you can't be losing all your players right at the start of the match. That's a free bit of advice. I won't bill you for it.
Very well done. It's good advice as well. Necessary advice on a map with no recalls. But we are heading from the western side, direct south plane path from the north down towards Ferry Pier. A little bit more difficult to head over towards the eastern side of the map, but Alpha 7 getting out nice and early over towards the, I guess you could call it a slight Zaki North George split that I like to go for here. R8 also out early. R8 consistently being in the vicinity of Alpha 7. Seems like it's a bit of a grudge match going on there. And Thunder Talk dropping very, very close over towards OG on the north side.
That is potentially dangerous for OG. Thunder Talk at the top of the tables. We've seen what they can do. Although, at the moment, OG are a little bit isolated from them in Severny. It may be that Thunder Talk try and grab a vehicle, head out to the east coast here. Getting stuck into a fight in Severny this early on, without the circle being confirmed, especially now, Blank, because we've got a military circle. Yeah, immediately, there's the vehicle icon. On you go. That might mean that the hot drop on the south side might get a little bit more intense, but it is going to be a military island circle here. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point.
GS actually dropping down towards the southwest here instead of dropping on military base. So APG should have this all to themselves. Wolves, you can see here, getting themselves into vehicles and maybe moving across. But that is a heck of a lot of teams already on Sosnovka this early, sort of predicated by the fact that the plane path was so southern. And on the western side, you have to split across the entirety of the map. And that includes the South Island. So quite fortuitous for teams like EK as well as Virtus Pro, who don't normally drop down in this position. They get a really good head start, but also that makes crossing on the western side quite difficult. And I think for Wolves, this is a somewhat of, I might call it a mistake. I think they were so close towards that south side that maybe they should have shifted over towards the east, understanding that was a little bit of an easier one to go for. We do have an in-game interview coming up shortly, but in the meantime, we're going to keep focused on the map here. I think Kara makes the correct play. Currently, they're rotating on the east bridge, and I think that's the smarter play here. There's going to be a lot more space to work with going forward for themselves, rather than get themselves mixed in with Virtus Pro as well as GS.
Let's head over to the stage for an interview with Regnum Karya.
Welcome back to a quick report with the 7WG. This time I'm joined by the PMGO winner, Silas from Regnum Karya. Silas, yesterday's performance was very lackluster. What was the main thing that you guys changed from yesterday to today?
Valla bugünkü performans pek iyi değildi. Dünden bugüne ne değiştirdiniz?
Aslında gün yeni başladı. Neyin değiştiğini gün ilerledikçe göreceğiz. Rondo'yu biraz çalıştım. Bireysel olarak gezdim. O yüzden bu maçı güzel oynadık.
So it's just the starting of the day, so we will see later what we change. But I personally actually studied Rondo personally, so we will see what's going to happen.
And talking about Rondo, I mean, Thunder Talk getting their back-to-back win. They win the last game yesterday. They win this one. Is that a team that is also causing you issues, maybe going into Erangel?
Valla Rondo'da Thunder Talk güzel oynadı dün de bugün de. Sizi zorluklar çektirdi. Gelecekte çıkarabilecek mi daha?
Yani havaya alışma, ilk gün havaya alıştık diyelim. İkinci günde çok fazla, yani bugün çok zorluk çekeceğimizi sanmıyorum. Bugün daha çok alışacağız, sonraki gün daha çok alışacağız. Finale çıkarsak da tam bir şekilde hakkını vereceğiz.
Yesterday it took us to get used to the Rondo, but right now we will practice more onto it and make it better. And if we can make it to final, we will redeem it.
All right, well, I'm hoping the performance here in Erangel coming up is going to be good. Back to you guys.
Well, there you go. We heard a lot from Regnum Karya, but we heard a lot from GS in the picture-in-picture, if you guys were keeping track of that. They clean wiped Virtus Pro just then. That's pretty great. Big fan of that. And Regnum Karya, they're going to go into the drink for a swim too.
Virtus Pro going out like that, fairly unfortunate, I would say, but very, very well done. Really, really big plays there. And that clears out a lot of space for them as well on the map, especially because they were down towards Sosnovka quite early. Going down in 6th place as well gives a lot of opportunity for teams like DX, GS, Wolves to overtake them and push them out of the top 7 now going forward. In the meantime, we've Alpha 7 on a long approach from shooting range all the way down here, but so many teams already making that cross early on. Regnum Karya also making the swim, but so many vehicles will already be taken here because there were so many teams on Sosnovka early that Regnum Karya likely for the rest of the game will be moving around on foot.
Yeah, it's very picked clean. You're right. It's just the bones left on that north side of the Sosnovka Island. We'll see what they can do, though. They may be able to nab 1 or 2 if they're lucky. If they can get close enough, we'll have to wait and see. E-Arena, they're going for the bow take to the south side. This is going to potentially be uncontested here. There's no one really overlooking this beachhead on that south edge. The rear duo for E-Arena as well. They're playing very, very split. Also on a boat rotate, so they'll be joining up with their teammates fairly soon. The Wolves managed to get through nice and early onto the military island. They are just south of that observatory mountain. They've crashed into the compound on the south side, southeast point of the military island. Now, a lot of teams have made it, but there are a few who haven't. R8 actually very slow to move, and Thunder Talk as well up in Stalber. They're still looting, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, go off, Kings, I guess. It's an interesting maneuver, and you can't really fault it too much at this point in time with how they're playing. I mean, I just need to wait and see. I personally think this is a little bit late. It's very late, in fact, from Thunder Talk. And with the amount of teams that are already down on the Southern Island, I mean, getting in there at that point is going to be very difficult. I think maybe the plan is just to get as looted as possible, as much utility as possible to make that bridge crossing doable. But I don't know. But you can see here, Regnum Kaya, as I said, no vehicles on foot, which is what we expected to happen, John. But it doesn't look fun at all. I mean, hearing a vehicle at any time and having to drop the deck here, this is some very sad gameplay where you pretty much have to hide it out as much as possible.
I mean, you've got to feel real jealous as well of teams rotating past you in vehicles. You're like, oh, man, if only we had that. We could do super well this game. And Regnum Karya looking to convert on their last match as well would be a brilliant result. As we're looking over towards those bridges. Actually, the crossings so far have been basically uncontested, Blank. I mean, it's only Virtus Pro who have gone down, but that wasn't on a crossing position. That was on just a fight for a compound once the crossing had already happened.
It was.
Only 5 teams remain to cross. That's what they're looking for at the moment. Mad Bulls, R8 off in the distance up towards South George. Alpha 7 just passing Lipovka now. Orangutan as well, getting past Prison, past Shelter and Milter. The bridge on the east side currently, I mean, it's Geeke, right, who are going to be overlooking it from that observatory mountain.
I think for Geeke, it's actually a really strong spot to be playing. We've seen multiple times, multiple teams win from that position on the map. It does require you to get a bit of an eastern shift on the circle, but this is already quite eastern anyway. A lot of water off towards Novorabnoye, so it's likely this is going to cut back in towards the mainland. So there is a high chance that it ends up around Observatory in the end game. I don't mind Kara's position too much. I mean, what they're doing is essentially just holding out teams like Alpha 7 who are going to be coming in from that side. Still no sign of Thunder Talk just yet, by the way. Still on the northern side of the map. Looks like they're bowing out this match, it seems.
You know, they've been playing so much more than everybody else at this point. You know, they needed a little break. They're making their way down from Stalba. It is still stage 2, but those crossings, I mean, especially now, you've got to wonder if Thunder Talk are going to be able to make it. That southeast coast is going to be lined with landmines for them to step on if they try and make their way in there. Wolves now in for a fight with GS potentially. GS were able to win it out against Virtus Pro. Will the Wolves, who are just behind them on the tables, be able to do what Virtus Pro could not?
I mean, for Wolves, there's, again, I think they have a similar issue to Virtus Pro where we're not seeing them respect a lot of sidelines in these matches. That's the thing that worries me is that, yes, the gameplay is not too bad. The rotations aren't too bad, but there's a lot of these moments where they're making some careless maneuvers, which I would like to see improved overall from quite a few different teams. I mean, Alpha Gaming even falls prey to this as well, where I don't think they're respecting other teams very much at all in these matches. And I think that's what is coming back to bite them. Like even that last match that we just saw in Rondo, there was a lot of good chances for them to really kick off and start having a great game. Unfortunately, because they kept taking shots, kept taking these angles which were open to the likes of Virtus Pro, open to the likes of Thunder Talk, they slowly bled out players. And I don't think that was great because moment, you know, the 4-man split was weird. And then getting further into the game, I was like, okay, there is a 4-man. This doesn't look too bad. But yeah, it ended up being quite disappointing, honestly. But we'll wait and see. I mean, they get to start in the melee base this time. No contest, other than Regnum Karya, I guess, who are hiding over on that north side, just trying to live this game out as long as possible. Mainly trying to find some set of wheels, basically, Joe.
That is kind of the name of the game for Regnum Karya right now. If they could pinch one, I'm sure that Alpha Gaming have on board, that would be brilliant, but position being known there. We've seen this from Alpha 7 in the past, Blank. They've taken to the skies. They are going to be heading over in the glider around on the east point here of Novo, trying to stay out of render distance of everybody else. Looks like they will be able to for just a little bit longer. Very dangerous place to land, though, because Kara have outposts all over. You've got to think they're going to spot this, and if they don't, somebody else will.
I mean, Kara absolutely should be able to look at this one, but you can also see that Alpha 7 is currently trying to play out a render distance as much as possible here. You can see that Obscure and Guizao is going very, very wide here, down towards the south side. I think they're trying to look for a point where they can make their way in, but the amount of teams that are littered along the southern coast, I think it's going to be hard to find a runway and land here. I think most likely it's going to be a crash landing from Alpha 7 in the near future.
I mean, you just don't expect the north side of Novo to be open, right? Like, it should be landing there if you have a map feed up like we do, but that's really difficult to call. The swim as well for Revo and Carrillo, that might draw the attention of Kara. It could prompt a little relocation, but Alpha 7, I mean, I'm seeing them approach from the south side in that glider. Wolves are going to take shots. GS are going to take shots. This is going to get nasty.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing watching like high-level gameplay at an international scale, because everyone has the same idea. I mean, they were able to get up. Egos only have the pump shotgun, gets a little bit of damage done, but there isn't any backup right now, which is not ideal. Luckily, able to find one with the angle off on the side from Coops, and that's Revo going down. Now just Obscure remaining as they all crash into this one. This should be a quick cleanup for them. But yeah, I think that it's interesting looking at it at an international level. Everyone has the exact same idea, is that the south side is where most teams are going to make their cheeky rotate through. So everyone litters down there because they all assuming that each other are going to make that same maneuver. The only team that actually falls prey to it is Alpha 7, but alas, they were coming in from a long, long way away. Again, no sign of Thunder Talk just yet. They're still traveling like Frodo Baggins right now on their way to Sosnovka.
There and back again. Goodness me. They are really going to have to get in fairly soon, because it's getting to be the blue zone's going to hurt a lot. They started obviously in Stalber. They were slowly rotating down. Also, R8 was struggling to make their way on through as Alpha Gaming seemed to have spotted Regnum Kaya making their way on foot. And unfortunately, I think Regnum Kaya, they've lost a player there. Far from ideal. And they'll be playing on as 3. Still fairly split and still very, very slow.
Yeah, I think for Regnum Kai, it's a rough one. I mean, I think what you have to do there is commit a little bit earlier to an eastern crossing. I don't think that the swim is that bad, but under the assumption the circle is so far off towards that east side that it's likely going to center up on observatory, which it is currently doing, by the way, so we were correct in that assessment. I think that you have to risk the eastern crossing as opposed to trying to play on the beachhead and the three building compounds around that area. I think that's what Regnum Kari are trying to go for. It's a very European approach, I'll say it that way, but I think in this instance it's not correct.
Yeah, maybe different decisions to be made in the future, but military circles always fun.
Oh my god!
Geeky getting the shift. Oh,
there they are.
I think I've spotted what you've noticed. They're on the map blank. It's Thunder Talk on the North Bridge, and Orangutan are going to be holding them out. The circle goes still towards Geeky's favor on that observatory mountain. But let's take a look at this bridge camp, because the health bars on Thunder Talk are going to be low here. They step out, and immediately the first goes. The next as well, looking for the spray down. The backup from across the way as well is good. 2 players now stand for Thunder Talk, and the blue zone is hurting.
I think the craziest thing about this is that OG expects the team to be rotating at stage 4 into the circle on the eastern side. I mean, it's a great pickup. It really, really is. But fantastically done. I mean, Aru's on the ball here, waiting for Thunder Talk to approach, and that is the top squad going down to 1 player from OG. Very, very well played. And now they can figure out how they want to move down, because you'd assume at this point for OG that there isn't going to be another team tailing Thunder Talk. If they were, it's likely Thunder Talk would have had to have fought a little bit earlier out on the coastal side, in which case OG would have heard it. So this is great in terms for OG for clearing that northern edge, understanding that now they can push south without worrying about their 180. So very smart.
They managed to take 2 players down, but there is still a little bit of life in Thunder Talk, and you can't count them out. A big flex out came through from Orangutan, from OG, both sides, WizGod and Atanki, moving into position to try and pick up the scraps on the last 2 players. They couldn't find the angle. Thunder Talk able to keep it under control for their final 2 players. And this is so open because of all of the teams moving to that south side. It's what you were talking about earlier. Because of the teams all putting pressure down south, that ability to move is what OG have capitalized on there well on that north side. Now, on the south side, though, it's going to get mucky because the Wolves have to leave the cliffside. They're moving off, and they've already been slowed down. They've lost Batten. Doran needs a res. Coops is pulling him back to his feet, and you can't spend too long out here.
एक गाड़ी नहीं उन पे भाई. कारा भी मार रही. कारा स्पॉट कर ली वुल्फ को. पैदल है, निहत्ते ब्रो. वुल्फ के लिए बहुत जी कब का फाइट लेनी चाहिए थी इनको जीएस के अगेंस्ट. ये सारे के सारे बैठे रह गए और जोन चला गया. पैदल जा रहे जोन में, मार खा रहे, जोन से नॉक हो रहे. ओए ओए चल चल 2 किल. कम ऑन शेर. आतंक क्या है. चल लास्ट बंदा बचा है टीटी का. साथ में भाई प्लीज कैजुअलिटी ने, प्लीज कैजुअलिटी ने, प्लीज कैजुअलिटी ने, प्लीज प्लीज कैजुअलिटी ने. क्लीन स्वीप, क्लीन स्वीप इजी. 1 HP है. 1 कम ऑन 1 HP है यार. 4 किल. क्या बात है. विदाउट एनी कैजुअलिटी पूरी लूट कंप्लीट कर. जोन के अंदर जाओ. जोन अपने पे. सेक्सी क्लीन स्वीप. लेट्स गो. एपीजी वर्सेस मैड. एपीजी फिर से खराब गेम ब्रो. मिलिट्री जोन रह के कैसे. अरे एक गोली मार भाई. हाँ मिलिट्री जोन रह के कैसे. आरेट आगे थर्ड पार्टी करने. मां की क्रिकेट देखो, पूरे बरसात कर दी नेट की. भाग गए, फॉल बैक कर गए मैड वाले. डब्ल्यू सीधा फॉल बैक. 1 नंबर भाई. एपीजी का 7वां गेम 8वां गेम खराब भाई. मां कसम. चैट जोन दे दे अपने को बस. आरईजी का अकेला बंदा वहां पे होल्ड कर रहा हिल के नीचे यार. दर्दनाक. यार मेरे को अप्रोच देखना है. वो अप्रोच कैसे करेगा. या तो तुम वो जो सैटेलाइट वाली टावर वाली हिल है उसके नीचे जाके होल्ड करो. एक और एक किल लिया. आरईजी को मार दिया यार. दे कैन गो देयर भाई. वहां जा सकते मलिक, वहां जा सकते. आरईजी का जो सोलो बंदा वो टावर के नीचे हिल पे होल्ड कर रहा था, वहां पे जा सकते. उसको मार भी दिया है. उसको मार भी दिया है. शेर 5 किल ऑलरेडी हो गए. 5 किल ऑलरेडी हो गए. नजर वाले इमोजी आन दो. उन्होंने हिल के नीचे जो बंदा होल्ड कर रहा था उसको मारा. अब वो हिल के नीचे जा सकते हैं, बट हिल के सैटेलाइट के नीचे जो छोटे छोटे कंपाउंड इसमें टीम है ऑलरेडी. देखते क्या अप्रोच लेता है. हिल के नीचे जाने का अप्रोच ले रहा है. क्या ले रहा है देखना पड़ेगा ब्रो. देखना पड़ेगा. अप्रोच देखना पड़ेगा कि क्या करेगा आरू. उसको ही मारा है. नॉक बंदे को फिनिश करा. आई गेस उसको ही मारा है आरईजी के बंदे को. वो अकेला था नीचे. वो अभी बचा है क्या. नहीं यार चैट उसको ही मारा है. दूसरा बंदा बहुत दूर है. देखो ना हिल के नीचे आरईजी का बंदा था, उसको मार दिया शायद. 5 किलो के शेर. आरेट आगे राइट में. नहीं विज रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स रिवर्स पूरा रिवर्स पूरा रिवर्स पूरा रिवर्स. अभी भी गलत जगह रुका है. अभी भी गलत जगह रुका है. अभी भी गलत जगह रुका है भाई. जोन आना है. नॉक वाले का किल लिया. अच्छा बट इधर एक बंदा होल्ड कर रहा था ना हिल के नीचे. नॉक था वो. उसका फिनिश लिया. ओके ओके कूल.
झंझनाहट से जल्द आराम पाएं. सेंसोडाइन रैपिड रिलीफ के साथ.
बट आगे डीआरएक्स होल्ड कर रही. आरेट बट आगे डीआरएक्स होल्ड कर रही. आरेट अपने राइट में आ गई. पब्लिक आरेट अपने राइट में आ गई. क्या बात है रे. एके शेर रे. गरम हो गए पब्लिक लड़के. वही बंदा नॉक था, उसको ही मारा है. चलो ठीक है डन. देखो आरेट का बंदा तुरंत ऑफ एंगल बना लिया भाई. तुरंत ऑफ एंगल बना के रेप देने गया. उसने पीछे वाले बंदे को नॉक दिया. गाड़ी में बिठा के लेके आ रहे हैं. जोन आ रहा है ना भाई. चलती गाड़ी से गिरा दे भाई. नहीं बेटो बहुत घुमा के जाएगा. इतना इजीली नहीं जाएगा वो. लेके आ गया वो उसको उठा के. क्या पुश करेगी ओजी? क्या पुश करेगी ओजी? भाई नॉक्ड है, बेस्ट टाइम टू पुश दो, लाइक जेन्युइनली बेस्ट टाइम टू पुश, बट रिवाइव जोन में नेवर माइंड, जोन में अपन जोन में है, वो भी जोन में है, बट अपने को थोड़ा आगे आना है भाई जोन के लिए। भाई पब्लिक R8 को मार दिया, चिकन है भाई, स्ट्रेट अप चिकन है। R8 को मारते स्ट्रेट अप चिकन है भाई। ओ आरू का प्लान है स्मोक करके घुमा के गाड़ी डालने का, या राइट से सीधा फेंस पे स्लैम करने का। ओ ऑफ एंगल छोड़ दिया। वो स्ट्रेट अप पुश कर, स्ट्रेट अप पुश करो, सीधा पुश करो शेर। गाड़ी में बैठ एके नॉक हुआ तो चकले लग गए भाई। नाइस प्रेशर बना, क्रेजी आखिरी बंदा, बट ऑफ एंगल है R8 का एक बंदा ऑफ एंगल है। R8 का एक बंदा ऑफ एंगल पे, आतंकी दूर से नॉक हो गया ब्रो। नहीं यार, अरे यार अपना मेन बंदा नॉक हो गया भाई, ऑफ एंगल वाला बंदा नॉक हो गया। अरे भाई बहुत बाद में, बहुत दूर, वहां कहां चला गया पेड़ पे? पहला ऑफ एंगल सही था ब्रो, प्रेशर बनाया तब, उसके बाद सीधा टीम के साथ ही आ जाने का था। डालो नेड़ मां की आंख, इनको नेड़ डालो। अभी भी प्रेस्टीज का एंगल देखो, एक बंदा अभी भी ऑफ एंगल पे R8 का, अभी भी एक ऑफ एंगल पे यार। ओ शीश नेड़। यार आ गया, प्रेस्टीज भी आ गया, प्रेस्टीज जो भी है वो बंदा अब आया भाड़ा का यार। अरे यार वो दूसरी बार पेड़ पे जाना सेंस नहीं बनता था भाई यार। ये फाइट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, स्टिल डुएबल भाई, स्टिल डुएबल। नहीं यार आतंकी पे अकेले चढ़ रहा है, आतंकी एक को नॉक तो दिया, अब आरू रेव देने गया था, आरू रेव देने बिजी हो गया। नेवर माइंड। नहीं ब्रो, अरे यार 5 किल के साथ एलिमिनेट हुए, #10 5 पॉइंट आए। अरे भाई रुको, यहाँ पे यार पब्लिक ये जब इतना सेक्सी पुश करवाया, इतना स्पेस क्रिएट किया एके ने, भाई मां कसम यहाँ पे रिस्की था, नेड आया, स्टिल जैसे ही नेड आया भागा। ये जो स्पेस क्रिएट किया है ना ब्रो, डिस्ट्रैक्ट करके ये लोग इतना आगे है ना, उसके बाद ब्रो सीधा गाड़ी लेके है ना टीम के पास ही चले जाने का था भाई। फिर वो गाड़ी लेके ये पेड़ पे गया रे पब्लिक, यहाँ पे तो मरना ही था ब्रो, मतलब इतने नेड आए कि यहाँ पे मरना ही था उसको। वो बैड मूव हो गया यार, गलत हो गया रे चैट, वहां पे डायरेक्ट चले जाने का था रे। सेकेंड टाइम रिपोजिशन डायरेक्ट टीम के पास करने का था, पहली बार इनसेन ब्रो, दैट स्पेस क्रिएशन वाज इनसेन भाई। पहली बार जब वो स्मोक करके वहां जाके जो स्पेस क्रिएट किया है, टीम को आगे आने के लिए मौका दिया है, वो मौका बहुत प्यारा था भाई। उसके बाद सीधा टीम के पास ही जाने का था, और एक अटेम्प्ट नहीं देने का था, और एक अटेम्प्ट देके बीटी दे दिया भाई। R8 की जगह देखो चैट, अपनी जगह होती यार R8 की भाई। FB स्मोक डाला था पेड़ पे, अरे वो पेड़ पे मरना ही था ब्रो वो, कि उसकी गाड़ी जो थी कचवा, जब पहली बार जब पोजीशन लिया वो टू क्रिएट स्पेस, तब वो नेड से उसके कचवे की जो गाड़ी की हेल्थ है स्मोक हो गई थी वो गाड़ी। उसके बाद द बेस्ट डिसीजन वाज टू गो टुवर्ड्स द टीम एंड होल्ड द रिज, और एक एंगल बनाने गया, वो गाड़ी खत्म हो गई। अगर नेड आ भी रहा है तो बच के जा भी नहीं सकता है, फुटना ही है। टीम के पास जाके वहीं से नेट्स करते तो भाई कुछ हो सकता था यार, बट वो टाइम पे अनलकी भी हो गए कि आतंकी यार वो गीक से पीछे से नॉक हो गया भाई। दर्द बे चैट भाई, कुड हैव बीन सच अ गुड गेम ब्रो, क्या सेक्सी गेम जा सकता था भाई। फिर से 4v4, अरे गाड़ी में बैठ के चिल कर रहा हूं, स्पॉट हो गया। उसको लगा कोई देखेंगे नहीं, गाड़ी में बैठा है तो स्पॉट हो गया बेचारा। R8 बहुत मारेगी ये मैच किल, नीड भी एक्यूरेट नहीं थे। अरे नहीं यार भाई, नीड नहीं पब्लिक, वो वहां पे वो रीपोजिशन जो दूसरी बार उसने रिस्क लेके पेड़ पे गया, वो बहुत खराब था भाई। उसको डायरेक्ट मैं जैसे ही देखा ना कि वो नेट से बच के, मैं बोला हाँ हाँ जा अपनी टीम के पास जा, मैंने बोला भी है, बट मैं देख रहा हूँ वो राइट चला गया ब्रो, क्योंकि वो स्पेस क्रिएट कर दिया था उसने, उसका काम कर दिया भाई। कछुआ लेके घूम रहा उसके पीछे, मर गया बेचारा यार। कछुआ उसको इतना डिस्टर्ब किया और घुमा घुमा के भाई प्रॉब्लम दे दिया कछुआ। जीएस वाले कैसा सरवाइव कर रहे हैं, मां कसम वहां पे कैसा सरवाइव कर रहे हैं जीएस वाले, कैसा सरवाइव कर। नीड ओए खत्म, जीएस खत्म, वो इम्पॉसिबल था वहां पे सरवाइव करना। 7 किल मार दिए भाई लोग। कारा ने बहुत मारा भाई, कारा के कितने किल है तब से किल फीड में देख रहा हूं, कारा ही बोलते हैं मर गए भाई, कारा बहुत मारी भाई ये मैच। कारा की भी पोजीशन अच्छी नहीं है वैसे अभी। R8 DRX का चिकन है, फ्री चिकन DRX सबसे वो कंपाउंड में होल्ड करे तब से चिकन है भाई, DRX का चिकन है यार। 14 फिनिशेस है, अरे मां कसम क्या बात कर रहा। 16 इतने का मार दिया भगन। हाँ इन्होंने वो पानी वालों को, वुल्फ वालों को मारा, फिर इन्होंने एपीजी को मारा, एपीजी के 2 बंदों को। हाँ ये लोग शुरू से किल लेते आ रहे बराबर बराबर। DRX भी 4 किल पे डिसेंट है, चिकन आएगा तो भाई हो जाएंगे 7-8 किल। अच्छा गेम निकल गया, DRX का भी कमबैक हो गया। पूरे का बारे आएंगे बहुत जल्द। गाइस लाइक करो, जितने भी लोग देख रहे हैं मेक श्योर यू लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब यारो। अरे यार वो भाई दर्द हो रहा है यार, सीधा टीम के पास जाता कुछ हो जाता यार। गरम है, खारा गरम है। नॉक भी निकाल लिया, लो एंट्री मिल गई। DRX को भी सप्रेस कर रहा है एक बंदा, DRX का भी नॉक निकाला। ओ ये नेट कनेक्ट होगा, नेट कनेक्ट होगा, नेट कनेक्ट होगा। ओ भाग गया वो, कुकड नहीं था नेट, मुझे कनेक्ट होगा। देखो रिवाइव की गड़बड़ नहीं कर रहा, क्योंकि रिवाइव करेगा तो ऑब्वियसली टाइम जाएगा, बट बहुत रिस्की जगह पे रिवाइव दे रहा, बहुत रिस्की जगह पे। लास्ट जोन गाइस, आई गेस DRX का चिकन है, ये दोनों आपस में लड़ रहे, DRX फ्री चिकन। नाइस नेड भाई। अब DRX का चिकन है। पूरा पोजिशनिंग है DRX पे, भले लास्ट जोन है तो क्या। नेड्स भी देखो ना, 7 नेड है DRX पे, इन पे 4, इन पे 0, खत्म। R8 ले एक ही नेड से बुरा। अरे कारा 19 किल, अगर ये 4 किल ले लेंगे ये लोग 23 किल चाह चिकन भाई, मां कसम, मां कसम ब्रो। भाई साहब 19 किल। ओह नेवर माइंड, गुड मूव बाय DRX, गुड मूव गुड मूव। गाड़ी लेके तुरंत आ गया, वाज अ गुड। ओए उसके एचपी, नेट टॉस कर दिया देखो उसने तुरंत। W नेट भाई, भाई वो बंदे ने हील नहीं किया, पब्लिक सीधा नेट टॉस किया, भले पड़ रही। क्रेजी ब्रो, DRX का, नाइस नाइस, वेल प्लेड DRX भाई। वो बग्गी लेके जो आने वाला मूव था ना, वो बहुत क्रेजी था, क्योंकि पैदल आते मरते हैं लोग। बग्गी लेके जो आए ना, वो बहुत प्यारा मूव था भाई। पैदल आते ना तो डेफिनेटली मर जाती भाई DRX। और भाई ये देखा तुमने, ये चीज तुमने देखी, यहाँ पे अगर कोई भी दूसरा प्लेयर आता भाई पैनिक करके, भाई देखो वो नेट टॉस छोड़ ही नहीं रहा ब्रो, उसको गोली पड़ रही फिर भी छोड़ ही नहीं रहा, वो छोड़ ही नहीं रहा गाइस। वो नेट टॉस करके उसको गोली पड़ रही, पता है 1 HP उन्हें, तो लोग क्या करते, पैनिक में कैंसिल कर देते नेट और हील पहले करते। भाई देखो छोड़ा ही नहीं, नेट टॉस करके ही रखा है, डाला नेट, बुम बुम। भाई क्रेजी, और ये जो मूव था भाई, ये मूव देख रहे हो, एक एंगल स्मोक कर दिया, दूसरे एंगल पे स्मोक था नहीं उनपे, सीधा गाड़ी लेके वहीं आ गए, दोनों गाड़ी लेके आए, ये सोच के कि भाई अगर नॉक होगा तो एक ही बंदा नॉक होगा, दूसरा सामान लेगा, ट्रेड। एंड एग्जैक्टली वही हुआ, एक बंदा नॉक हुआ और ये भी अनलकी नॉक हुआ कि बाहर की साइड कूद गए, फेंस की तरफ नहीं कूदा जैसा दूसरा प्लेयर कूदा, और तुरंत ट्रेड ले लिया ह्यूबिन ने। ओए हाय क्या मारा भाई। बट यार चैट मेरे को अभी भी दर्द हो रहा भाई, क्या था यार, मां कसम भाई, आई वॉज सुपर शॉक्ड कि जिस तरीके से मूव बनाया, आई वॉज सो शॉक्ड ब्रो। स्मोक करके ही डिस्ट्रैक्टेड हिमसेल्फ एंड सबका अटेंशन ग्रैब करके टीम के लिए टाइम बाय किया है, सो दैट टीम यहां से लेके यहां तक पहुंचने का गैप कवर करे एसैप। तो अब तुम ये देखो भाई,
अब वेलापंथी का टाइम गया, अगोड़ा पे जा, न्यू ईयर प्लान्स के लिए होटल्स पे पैसे बचा,
हो जाएंगे। स्प्रे मार के बता दिया मैं, हाथ में तुरंत कैसा नेट टॉस होगा देखना, सबके सब बिजी हो जाएंगे। स्प्रे मार के बता दिया मैं आ गया उधर, पहला बंदा नेट टॉस किया, दूसरा बंदा नेट टॉस किया, दो बंदे नेट करने में बिजी है और अपने बंदों के पास क्लोजिंग करने का पूरा टाइम मिल गया। इनका एक बंदा ऑफ एंगल दूर है, पूरा टाइम मिल गया अपने को क्लोजिंग करने का। बेस्ट डिसीजन ब्रो। उसके बाद यहाँ पे जब जैसे नेट आए दो, इसने भी एक नेट डाला, ये तुरंत गाड़ी में बैठा, ये देखो अब इसकी गाड़ी की हालत देखो ब्रो, यहीं पे ब्लैक हो गई गाड़ी भाई, यहीं पे ब्लैक हो गई थी यार गाड़ी। ये देखो ना यहीं पे गाड़ी स्मोक हो रही है। एके तू वहां क्यों गया रे, एके वहां कहीं को गया रे तू, तेरी गाड़ी ब्लैक हो गई, टीम की तरफ आ। मां कसम अगर तुम रिप्ले करके देखोगे मैंने सीधा बोला कि हाँ टीम की तरफ जा, टीम की तरफ जा अभी, क्योंकि भाई इतना प्यारा स्पेस क्रिएट किया है भाई। वो लोग की फट गई कि क्या एंगल बनाया, वो लोग पीछे चले गए, नेड करने में बिजी थे और पूरा क्लोजिंग कर दिया अपना बंदा। यहां पे बस एके वापस चला जाता टीम के पास और नेड करते, कुछ नॉक निकालते, बेटर होता ब्रो। ये पेड़ पे जाना वॉज अ वेरी बैड डिसीजन यार। यार उसके बाद तो फिर मरना ही था, क्योंकि वो गाड़ी, एक पेड़ का कवर बहुत छोटा रहता भाई, और गाड़ी उसकी फटी पड़ी है, वो गाड़ी में बैठ के नेड भी डॉज नहीं कर सकता। भाई वो नेड यार, पब्लिक यार, यहाँ पे बचना मुश्किल था यार। आरू ने स्मोक भी किया ट्री पे, अरे स्मोक नहीं मैटर करता ब्रो, यहाँ पे भाई नहीं बच पाएगा इंसान। उनके पीछे वाले का इन्फो नहीं था, अरे डजंट मैटर ब्रो, इन्फो नहीं था तो क्या, आपने स्पेस क्रिएट किया, आपकी गाड़ी जल गई, सीधा घुसो टीम के पास जाओ, यहीं से मारो। और उनके पीछे वाला कितना दूर है, अगर एक यहाँ पे रहता भी 2 मिनट के लिए, स्मोक हटता, पीछे वाला मार देता। आप ये भी तो सोचो। और अपने नेट भी थोड़े लेफ्ट राइट हुए भाई। ये टाइम पे गलत टाइमिंग हो गई कि आतंकी को साला पीछे से डीपी पड़ गई भाई। अरे यार ठीक है यार, एनटीआर चैट, एनटीआर हो, एनटी रे, एनटी बे शुरुआत इतनी अच्छी मिली, 4 किल टीटी के मारे, उसके बाद आरईजी का एक बंदा मारा, 5 किल निकाले। यार एंटी आई वुड से यार पब्लिक। एके पे रिपेयर गन था, अरे रिपेयर गन वो सिचुएशंस में मारने का टाइम नहीं मिलता है ब्रो। आपको क्या लगता है जब आपकी टीम रिच पे इतनी क्लोज 4v4 ले रही है, आपको रिच पे दिख रहा है, आपके टीममेट पे नेड आ रहे हैं, सब हो रहा है, यूटिल आ रहा है, आप वहां पे रिपेयर गन निकालोगे? कैसी बातें कर रहे हैं यार। अरे यार बहुत प्यारा गेम निकलता ब्रो, वो शॉट रे। डीआरएक्स का कमबैक हो गया पब्लिक। जीचा बुरा मत मानना, बड़ा पैसा मत बोलो कि एक्सपेजी को मार के चिकन है अपना, बिकॉज तभी टीम भाई बोली। अरे मैं तो फैक्ट बोल रहा हूँ ना ब्रो, आप आर8 की पोजीशनिंग देखते भाई, वहां पे मार देते उनको तो चिकन था भाई अपना भी। एपीजी देखो ना पब्लिक पूरी स्ट्रेस आउट है रे, मिलिट्री जोन रह के चोक हुआ। मैं तो माँ कसम शॉक था, मेरे को तो लगा एपीजी खत्म कर देंगे ये मैच। एक ही और कार इम्पॉसिबल लव स्टोरी। अरे कोई नहीं आया, करेंगे लड़के करेंगे। स्टिल आई गेस वी आर इन टॉप 7 गाइस, स्टिल अपन टॉप 7 में, जस्ट सेइंग। ठीक है 2 कैजुअल गेम गए, आने वाले 4 गेम अच्छे जाने चाहिए भाई। बट चैट एपीजी अनबिलीवेबल ब्रो, मिलिट्री जोन दे डिडंट कैपिटलाइज इट ब्रो। मिलिट्री जोन रह के कैपिटलाइज नहीं किए चैट, कैसे रे? क्या रिग्रेट कर रहे होंगे भाई? पूरा मिलिट्री लूटे, गाड़ियां भी थी। आठ या 9 गेम खराब गए रे, मां कसम रे। डीआरएक्स को मिल गया भाई जो चाहिए था उनको, एक स्टार्ट मिल गया भाई। अपन अभी भी आई गेस गाइस टॉप 6 रहेंगे अपन मेरे हिसाब से, स्टिल टॉप 6 रहेंगे। हाँ 2 गेम खराब जाने के बाद 5th पे हो जी, क्या बात है क्रेजी। बट वही रे, रोटेशन दिखा रहा है, देख रहे हो क्या? बट यार दर्द हुआ रे।